going to talk about getting your start into getting in cattle. Now, there's a lot of options, a lot of roads you can take. One of them is expensive and fast. The other one is a little more compromising and inexpensive. Or you can just follow your heart and do what you please. Honestly, there's no right way or wrong way. You can make your decisions as you like, as you go. But what we found was right for us is we decided we wanted to get into more of the hobby breeds and crossbreed. Don't mind my words and my mouth not working. We decided what we wanted to do is we wanted to take a bit of go the cheaper route to start with, buy more hobbyist breeds. And when the opportunities come up here and there, we'll take the opportunities. Now, there's a couple of things we kept in mind when we chose our breeds. Our breeds being, we run Texas Longhorn and a Highland. Main reason why is because I can get the Texas Longhorn. It's fairly inexpensive and they cross really well to beef. The market value on the calves at the end seems like everything I can see so far with people I know who do literally exactly what I'm talking about. They only see about a 10% difference over the average on the low end on their crosses. Meanwhile, the Texas Longhorns don't eat as much. They're better foragers. They don't eat as much feed. They don't need as much feed to stay healthy. And they don't have a tendency to get obese, which is really wild. I didn't know that was a thing until I started looking at breeds, and I actually ended up buying an Angus at one point. And I bought her, and she's really obese. She's really obese. Like, it's wild. I didn't even know they could get that fat. I would have thought for whatever reason they would have, well, not even for whatever reason, I just would have thought they would have stopped eating. Like, there's plenty of food I don't need to eat. I mean, like, especially midsummer. But we capitalized on buying the more commercial breeds. Like here, we've got a Hereford we just picked up for $1,600, right, as a weaned calf. I picked up this Angus for, I think I made her for around $900. And so it's not bad. Like, getting into these things, like when you find the deals to do it is great. But for us, we started off, we wanted to do Texas Longhorns because the cost on the Texas Longhorns was inexpensive, the crossbreeding was good, and the value of the offspring was almost on par with completely commercial breeds. The other thing was with the Highland, well, we just wanted a Highland, so we followed her hard on that one. But she was still more inexpensive than picking up an Angus or a Hereford or whatever, right? So we wanted to know what they do, and that's the only one I've got a question about. I don't know how they do with the Angus. Everything I can find, what slim information I can find, shows that the Angus and the Highland cross is a good cross. You end up with something that has a little bit of vigor to it, so they grow faster than a Highland does. Apparently they don't grow as fast as an Angus. They marble and they put on good size. Okay. So if you end up with a heifer out of there, you got something you cross back to another commercial breed, and you've got something that's on par to hit the mark and get that 10% under, right? And that'd be fine. So you look at it like the future, or out of all the animals we've got, maybe that's the one we keep to eat and put in the freezer. I'm just trying to the baler down. You can see it. Nah, these things are freaking. This is the baler I got is a new all at $850. And I should make a video on that because I bought it broken and I had to make it work. Oh my god! It's also a rough ride in the tractor with this big baler. We are going to kick that down and we're going to kick this thing into into turtle. And we'll go third. Oh, that's much better. So, when you're picking your animals, you can go commercial. You could go straight to the auction and you're guaranteed to find what you're looking for there, if that's what you're looking for. It's going to be hard to find more of the hobby breeds at the auction because a lot of people don't see the value in even taking them to the auction. I mean, it's hard reading the market reports because a lot of times the market report doesn't break it down by breed, right? So you see black cows, brown cows, pattern cows, or you say, what was the other phrase that was used? Unnamed. And so that's going to be more your hobbyist stuff, and those are usually sitting pretty low on the spectrum, but they aren't that far off, really. So if you're going to go the route of starting yourself a small herd, honestly, you can go to the auction right now. You can buy yourself some yearling heifers for around $4,000 each. Not quite that. They're not that expensive yet. They're around 32, 35. And on the higher end for a really nice one with like that's big for a yearling, they're around $4,000. That being said, you can look at picking up a bull as well, but everyone I talk to says if you don't have a large herd of cows and a large amount of pasture, it's not worth doing. And I would tend to agree, because it's one of those things, I'm out of pasture with the animals I got already. For me to add in a bull would be a mistake. So, and the cost to rent one for 30 days or 40 days isn't that bad. I mean, on the high end, I was seeing $350 per head. On the low end, which is what I'm going with, is $50 a head. And it's unfortunate because I know people in the industry because of where I grew up. I grew up in a rural town in British Columbia, and it was very common to see a tractor driving down the road. So, if everyone here has come into contact with a cow of some kind, whether or not you owned it, you helped raise it, or you just saw it. I mean, we've got a thing out here, the Interprovincial Exposition, and that's one of my favorite parts, is going and seeing people's cows, right? And it gives me an outlook too of like what it looks like in other breeds, right? You can see the different body compositions. You can, especially getting a little bit more into it. But yeah, you've got a few options. I mean, if you're somebody who wants minis, there's lots of options for minis. So you can buy what's called a mini zebu, and they're basically the size of a goat. It's hilarious. They're fantastic, and honestly, I would entertain the idea of buying one or two to put in with my sheep, just for the shits and the gigs. I would put them up there, and I would probably breed into a Dexter, something that's also small. I mean, that's without any research I'm saying this. If it was an issue, like I would look and do some research. If it's an issue to breed into anything other than mini zebus, I would just have mini zebus. Then it'd just be something that's kind of BS. But they're expensive. They're like the same cost as buying a Highland. And the Texas Longhorns were cheaper, and I mean, there's even in betweens as well, right? Like if you're sitting at your Angus Hereford scale, and then you've got your hobbyist breeds, Dexters and Lowlines are basically the bottom of the barrel. That with used up dairy cows, and even used up dairy cows are usually a little higher than Dexters. Now, I contemplated Dexters, but my biggest problem was that I could never breed them. In like the cow I buy, so that my purebred Dexter or Lowline, I would never be able to breed every year and get a full-size animal out of her. I'll always end up with something stunted, and they are the ones that take the biggest hit at the auction. And that's the thing, I have to keep in mind, making sure I can pay to feed these things. So I'm not even looking to make a profit. I just want to get close to zero. If it costs me $200 by the end of it, said and done, I'm perfectly fine with that. But if it costs me $5,000 and I don't see any of the money back, it's hard, and it becomes very unfeasible very quick, right? And that's saying $5,000. I mean, like that's it could cost more than that very quickly, very easily. So for us, it's like I said, like the decisions we made were based off of all the research I did, and then what was available, and then liking the animals we saw. So there's other options. It's like I said, like if a guy wanted to just, like you can pack more head per acre going to the smaller breeds, your Dexters and your Lowlines, and maybe that's what you'd like to do. And they're way more manageable too. And Dexters tend to be pretty personable. Same with Highlands, but Highlands do end up being big animals. It's one of those things. Like you can get miniature Highlands or smaller size, smaller Highlands, but that wasn't us. That wasn't what we wanted to do. So there's like I said, lots of options, and you can just pick whatever you want. Just if you've got an affection for what was it? Let's say let's say you've got an affection for a belted Galloways because you like the fact they look like Oreos. And do it. It's up to you, really. There's enough angles in the cattle market you could break zero. If you're looking to make a profit, it's difficult. It is very difficult. And a lot of us do it just to put the food on our tables, and then we do something else as well. I grow cherries, right? And hopefully for a while longer. I don't know if it's one of those things, the years have been bad. We don't know what's going on, but the days tick by whether I'm awake or not. So But I mean, like, if a guy wanted to go the route of as much stocking as he could, you could do a bunch of mini Zebus, but that wouldn't be financially wise. You could go Dexters, because then you actually produce a decent amount of yield. So an adult Dexter butcher just could be around 350 pounds. And that's good. That's not nothing to shake a stick at. That's a decent meal. And the cost to produce it is less than your Angus. The cost to do it is less than any of your other commercial breeds, and it'd be even less than doing the Texas Longhorn. But there's so many breeds, like you can even go to an in-between, something that still puts out an almost full-size calf if you breed it to a commercial breed. Something like a Corriente, right? Corrientes are a smaller version. I say a smaller version. They are their own breed. They're smaller than Texas Longhorns, but they are very similar in a lot of their traits. Very hardy, they're very drought resistant, heat tolerant. Texas Longhorns a little more adapt to the cold. And that's part of the reason why we chose them. And they end up smaller, like they are smaller than Texas Longhorns, but they're bigger than Dexters. They're like an in-between of it, like if you're looking at Dexters to Angus, they're basically smack dab right in between. Whereas a Texas Longhorn, a nice Texas Longhorn, can get all right on the cusp of the exact same as an Angus. So, but when you're picking your stock, I mean, you got to do your research and pick what's right for you. You can go through and you can pick what's going to cost me the least year round, but chances are better than not it'll also produce you the least year round. You can try and find a corner in the market like we did where you lose 10% is on average on your calves by doing your Texas Longhorns but breeding them to a commercial breed. Having the low overhead doing that for us, that's the keyhole. That's where we fit. I mean, I did something with like we do sheep as well. I went to Suffolk, and on one side that was a mistake because my yearly costs are wild. Like to produce what I produce, it's too much. But at the same time, I produce really nice animals that far surpass everything, and it doesn't cost me enough yet that I look at them like they're an income or a cost, like they're just a hobby basically. It's an expensive hobby, and if I can sell off all my lambs without any issues, I can break zero off. But I don't do that. I keep one back at least from the freezer, and then I'm into it. But it's not that bad. The way this stuff all works, it's not that bad. It's not as complicated as what people make it. It can be as complicated as you want to make it. So I made my life complicated going, okay, I'm going to breed late in the season, almost at the end, 11th and 12th month, because I want my animals in the upcoming year to wean on pasture. I want them to wean as soon as I can turn them out onto pasture. Then they go out to auction when the market's high in the spring. Sounds great. But it's more complicated than it needs to be. I could just be like, okay, well, I've got the feed in the spring. I'm going to kick a bull out here so I don't have to feed him anything. He's not going to increase my feed cost. Just kick him out there. He's going to get everyone bred, and he's going to do it, and then I'm going to have cows whenever I have calves. And it doesn't need to be complicated. And then you kick them off at wean, but the problem is like sometimes if you think things through, the complication now is less complication later. And honestly, there's not really a wrong way to do it unless you're trying to make money. If you're trying to make money, then there's lots of wrong ways to do it. Lots of wrong ways to do it. And I mean, it's even like you look at your cost on the purchase of the animals. And I mean, for me, I look at it, no, as long as that animal is alive, the purchase cost on that animal doesn't need to be absorbed by anything. Not until it's at the end of its life and then it goes into meat. That's when you look at it like it's a wash or loss or you made some money on it. Like if I look at the Texas Longhorns, I go, I paid $1,000 for this animal. I fed it year in, year out, but every year I fed it, that dollar value was dissolved by the calf because that's part of the production of the calf, right? So if it cost me $800 to $1,000 to feed that cow, then that gets absorbed by the cost of the calf. Why? Because that's what I'm trying to recoup when I sell it. So if I keep one back, like if I keep a steer back, or I steer something and keep it back for myself, then that $800 is tagged on there. But I'm not going to tag on the cost of buying the mum. I mean, I could, because I could look at total overhead, total yearly cost, and then total in, and then I'm always going to be behind I mean, I wouldn't always be behind. I'd probably be 4 years out before I actually went into the positive on it. And then I would look at it like I would have my herd of cows at zero. Their cost is zero year in, year out to have. So then when they go to butcher, it would be the cost of the butcher. Why? Because they've already been paid for. There's no longer, and that's a very business minded. I look at it more like the $1,000 on this animal, $1,500 on this animal, $1,600 on this, $900 on this animal. It's all still attached to the animal as long as it's alive. And the feed cost 100% gets absorbed into the offspring. I mean, unfortunately, the first year on these animals, they don't produce a calf, so they are actually maybe. Because that'd be fall calves, so I should see calves next year, so I haven't fed them yet, so yeah, it would probably still work that. No, because now I got 2 years on the first calves. That doesn't make sense, that's hard. So now I would have to absorb the cost into the total purchase price of the cost of owning the heifer. Or I can, like I said, you just tally it all up, and then you tally up what you put back in, and then you go from there. And then every year you put money in, take money out, put money in, take money out. And then when it comes down to the end of the lifespan of your cows, that's what it is. Or you resell the cow. But yeah, you just gotta pick what's right for your farm. And the cows you pick are gonna make a huge difference. If you don't want to be hands-on with them, that's gonna be a part of the determining factors. If you want hands-on, things like you can aim for things like bottle calves. That's not a bad gig. Because if you want animals you can handle, you can lead on halter, you could have your kids around all the time, like super loving animals, like basically large dogs, buy bottle calves. That'll be like your keyhole into having like the biggest pets you could. Right? Like we picked up this Hereford, and she's a bottle calf, and she's fantastic. I'm like, my daughter can go and pet her. Like she'll stand there and she'll like stick her chin out at you because she wants neck scratches. Like she's great. And this one, I mean, like for us, we're just following our hearts on this. We're doing a little this, little that, little, and then we're trying to find where we want to be. And I don't think there's any real wrong answer there. And that's probably the moral of this entire video, is there isn't a wrong answer unless you're trying to make profit. If you're trying to make a profit, you're trying to make as much profit as possible, then you got to crunch numbers. Life is going to be complicated. Just plain and simply, life is going to be complicated. I mean, I'm doing hay with equipment I didn't spend heck all on. This baler behind me, I spent $200 on this baler, which is almost nothing. I would have gone anywhere in the province of British Columbia for this baler for $200. It was broken. Okay, so what do I need to do to fix it? I need to get PTO on it, but I don't have the available parts. I've got partial parts though. Okay, so a little welding, a little eyeballing, a little adding some scrap steel here and there, and now all of a sudden I got a PTO on it. The electrical doesn't work for the tire. Let's see this. Woo! That right there. 6 wires, and you can turn a 6-pole dual action momentary switch into a polarity switch, and now all of a sudden the tire works. It is what it is. I mean, I buy a mower for $400. It's an old Sicko mower, and then I end up fabricating a frame for it, so it works. Because it doesn't fit up to the tractor I'm using. Why? Because in the 30s they didn't have cabs on them. And even if they did, like, they are not very big, they're not like this. So, it's part of farming. There's no real wrong answers until you want to try and make some money. And getting into it, honestly, it's hard to look at it like you're going to make money. If you want to capitalize on the most dollar value you can, buy a big property, understock it so the cows are always well fed, and then buy the A grade. But I mean, to do that, you got to have a lot of money. You got to have a lot of money. And that's what it is. And then you reseed, you cut, you irrigate your field. Like, most of us don't do that. But if you wanted to capitalize on the most dollars out, or the most dollars in, you have to have the most dollars out. And that's it. We just want to look here. Like, for us, we just want to sit here at least 0. It'd be great if I could actually make a couple of mowers. Like, if I could turn out and the market goes right, and I can do what I'm doing, like with this thing, cutting out my hay cost, where I actually turn a small profit, sweet. But it's just gonna go back into the farming. It's not gonna be like pocketed profit. It's just gonna be what it is. But the moral of the story is, there's not a right or wrong. And chances are better than not, even if I told you the 100% the right or the wrong, you probably wouldn't do it. But that's okay. because there isn't a right or wrong. The most wrong you could be is losing your shirt and getting so disappointed you don't want to do it again. And we don't want that. But do your research on the animals. That's the biggest thing. I mean, if I was going to look at like the corner of the market and say what's the best, I would sit here and say exactly what I did. Texas Longhorns or Corrientes. Corrientes, you can get a pretty decent sized animal out of them. You'll always get a hit on the market because the animals you send to the market will be a little smaller, and then the dollar value will be 10% less on the pound. But your feed costs are less, your housing is better. I mean, like, if you had 10 acres, you could probably stock 7 of those animals on 10 acres very easily, and they would always be happy and healthy. They're not very handleable, though, and you'd have to be kind of hands-off with them, and then there's not much of a market. You'd have to go commercial breeds on them. If you wanted to try and sell them to hobbyists, most hobbyists don't want Corrientes. They want the Dexters because the Dexters are technically dual purpose. People like the Highlands because they're fluffy and cute. I mean, even for us, like doing the Texas Longhorns, the only reason why there's even a market for Texas Longhorns is because people do exactly what we're doing. So, but moral of the story: follow your heart on it.